Hi, this is Andrew with Infinity Cutting Tools. Making custom wooden doors can be a very rewarding and cost-saving project. Traditionally, wooden doors have been made using more industrial-type machines such as shapers that most woodworkers don't have available to them in their shops. Here at Infinity, we've put together some wonderful interior and exterior door making router bit sets that are going to allow you to use your router table to produce both interior and exterior sized doors very easily. These sets come in 3 different profiles, including an OG, a shaker, and a mission style profile, and they're going to give you everything you need to make both interior and exterior sized doors. We also have extended tenon cutters that are perfectly matched to these profiles that are going to allow you to add that extended tenon detail to your doors to produce a very strong and durable door. Let's go ahead and take one of these sets over to the router table, and I'll show you how easy it is to set these bits up and to use them to make interior and exterior size doors in your shop. I've gone ahead and installed the OG interior and exterior stile cutter into my router table, and I want to give you guys a look at how to set this bit up. The first thing you need to know is it comes with an extra slot cutter. This is for use when making interior sized doors from material ranging in thickness from 1 1/4 to 1 5/8 of an inch thick. As it comes, it's set up for making exterior doors ranging in thickness from roughly 1.5 inches up to about 1 7/8 of an inch. So depending on the thickness of material, it's going to depend on the slot cutter you use and also the resulting tongue for your panel. I'm going to be making a rail and stile using this set out of 1 3/8 material, so I need to swap the slot cutter. To do this is very easy. I have a 1/2 inch wrench, and I'm using the spindle lock on my router table to hold the bit while I loosen the nut on the top of the router bit. I'm going to remove that nut. Then I'm going to remove the profile cutter from the top, and I'm going to make sure not to lose these little shims right here. There's a stack of thin shims sitting on top and also underneath. So I'm going to make sure I don't lose those shims. I'm going to make sure I keep those shims in the right order. A few of them stuck to the bottom of my slot cutter, so I'm going to slide those back on. Now I can take my smaller 1/4 inch slot cutter, slide that in place of the 1/2 inch. Now I can go ahead and take my shim stack, put that back on the router bit. There's a couple more right here. Drop those on, made sure I didn't lose any. Now I can take my profile cutter, slide that back onto the router bit, and reinstall the nut. Once I've done that, make sure everything's in place, I'll simply take my wrench, snug it down, just tight, not over tight. We don't have to be He-Man, and now I'm ready to set my router bit height and make a cut. Okay, I've got my router bit set up. I went ahead and set my bit height so that I have equal reveal top and bottom for the profile. Next thing I need to do is set my fence. I've gone ahead and used a ruler on the innermost portion of the profile, set my fence so it's flush with that inside portion of the router bit. And the last thing I want to do is make sure to turn the router bit speed on my router down. I want to run this bit very slow, probably as slow as about 12,000 RPM. This is good because we're removing a very large amount of material from our workpiece in a single pass, and we're going to get better results by running the bit at a slower speed. Depending on the material you're making your door from, you may be able to adjust this speed up anywhere from 12 up to maybe 15,000 RPM. So we're still, no matter what type of material running, we're going to run this at a pretty slow speed. The other key to getting a good quality cut is to use good feather boards and hold downs. In my case, I'm going to go ahead and use my Gibson clear cut stock guides. I've gone ahead and installed my rail cutting bit into my router table, and because I'm making an interior sized door, I've gone ahead and removed one of the two bearings from the center portion of the bit to fit the stile bit that we just ran. To do this, all I did is loosen the nut, remove that nut from the top, remove the top profile cutter, being sure that I don't lose any shims that are inside. Then I simply removed the bearing, reinstalled the profile cutter, and tightened everything back down. Now I'm ready to set my bit height, set my fence, and make my rail cut. Making an extended tenon is very simple and will add a lot of strength to your doors. The easiest way to do this is simply install the extended tenon cutter into the router table, then take your rail that you've already cut the initial cope or rail cut into and use that as your guide to set your bit height. Once you've done that, you can set your fence to stop your cut for whatever length of tenon you want to make. With the extended tenon cutter in the router table, you can make extended tenons as long as you want. There's really nothing to limit how long you can make that extended tenon. Whenever I change these bits from interior to exterior or vice versa applications, I may need to make minor changes to my shimming. Each bit has a series of shims in it, and it's important to remember, especially on the stile cutter, that whenever we remove or add a shim above the slot cutter, to also add or remove one to the underside of the slot cutter. It's that simple to get a really nice tight fitting joint. Also, if our joint tongue is fitting correctly, but the profiles are not lining up, we want to adjust our stile cutter. If our tongue is either too thick or too thin, we want to adjust the rail cutter. It's that simple. If you've always wanted to make wooden doors for interior or exterior applications, the Infinity interior and exterior door making router bit sets are going to be the perfect choice for making these beautiful wooden doors on your router table. If you want to add even more strength to your doors, don't forget to pick up the corresponding extended tenon cutter.